the Leadership Couch, where we explore the inner life of leadership, how they think, how they grow, and truly how do leaders transform the spaces that they touch. I'm Lydia, and today I want to start this year with a foundational truth. Leadership begins with awe. Not action, not execution, not even strategy. Leadership begins with awe. Now, what is awe? Awe is the leader's ability to see potential before anyone else sees it. Okay. Leadership in awe is like that quiet conviction that potential does exist, even in a room full of discouragement, disconnection, and when the room really is scattered. And here's the part we often forget. A leader who cannot imagine possibility will always shortchange the people they influence. Can I say that again? A leader who cannot imagine possibility will always shortchange the people they influence. Because listen, leadership is not first about the what, it's always about the who. The what is usually a byproduct of our relationships, our belief in people, and our shared commitment to something greater, to something higher, and to something better. Why does all matter? Momentum in leadership is born from awe. Without awe, there really is no spark, no stamina, no integrity, no longevity. Awe is the internal engine that whispers, this situation can become more than what it is. Now, here's where I really get into my doctoral student nerdy phase, okay? Listen to this. Awe is the same principle we see in transformational leadership theory. James McGregor Burns argued that leaders elevate others by helping others see themselves differently. Peter Senge said that shared vision, not shared task, is what turns a group into a learning community. And in adult learning theory, Malcolm Knowles reminds us that adults are motivated when they see personal meaning and relevance. So in other words, adults do not commit to tasks. Come closer. Adults do not commit to tasks. They commit to meaning. And meaning begins with awe. Okay, so we're here at part 2, the leader's responsibility. Put me in front of a room of individuals who feel purposeless on their own, and I'll show you a group who can get a job done, who can solve a problem together. They may not have purpose individually, but collectively, they possess and hold possibility. And the leader's first responsibility is to see that possibility. I'll repeat that for you. The leader's first responsibility is to see possibility. So listen, in my career, in my experience, I have been in rooms full of brilliance. Degrees, credentials, strategies, a whole host of experience. But I want to share with you today that brilliance alone does not create movement. Oops, I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, but being smart and having intelligent people in the room, having that in the room is necessary, but it by itself does not create synergy. It takes a leader who can look at many individuals, siloed individuals, and really be able to take them all and gather them under this focus. We have something here. We have something here and we can build with this, okay? So the leader's first responsibility is to really see the all. It is to see possibility. It is to say, hey, we have something here. Let's acknowledge that and let's push forward. We've got something that we can build. That's leadership. That's all. So see, all is not soft. It's not naive, but all really is strategic, okay? All is the leader's first act of stewardship. Okay, here's part 3. I'm sorry, but I'm going right back now into like the studious phase. Here's part 3, and this is all what I call all in adult learning. Okay, so my research across leadership, scholarship, philosophy, and adult development continues to point back to this truth. Adults must be able to envision themselves as greater in order to engage deeply in any task. And really, as leaders, that's what we want our constituents to do. When there is a task before us, we want to be able to hand that task off to someone who will deeply engage, maybe even so much that they take it a step further than we're able to maybe even explain, right? So Robert Kegan's constructive development is very useful here because his theory states that adults grow when they can imagine themselves beyond their current capacity. Okay. Amy Edmondson's work on psychological safety shows that people perform when they feel seen and valued. So when you put these two theories into these two bodies of work together, you really must have to understand the power in people being seen and people being valued. And as leaders, we must make sure that those people that we've been graced to move forward, we must be able to see them and value them. Oftentimes, I see a mistake. We either see people, but we don't show that we value them, okay? So I want to give you a very practical example. I'll put my mother's hat on, for example, and then we'll get back to it. So in my home, I can give my kids a chore. Okay. And let's say for example, they don't do that chore fast enough or they don't do it proper enough. And say I fold my hands and I demand them. I want you to do this right now. Straighten up, clean it up. And and if you don't, you're going to see what happens. Right. And I'm seeing them and I'm standing over them with my hands folded. I'm giving them that mother look. Get it done. Now, my children, because of fear of what the repercussions are or the penalty of not doing right, they're going to do it, right? Because they are being seen, right? They acknowledge somewhere in their minds that mama is watching me and I'm kind of scared. I'm kind of nervous. And so they're kind of doing that task. But I don't know that they're deeply engaged, okay? And this is what I mean by this. Now, let's say I do this, and this is usually actually the footsteps I like to take with my children in doing chores. So say I tell Emma, hey, go in there and straighten up the pantry, organize the pantry, and there's some examples given, and I tell her what I need this pantry to look like, okay? Now, instead of folding my arms and demanding it, I'm giving her an opportunity. Can you do this for me? I think you have the capacity and the capability to do this really, really good. And instead of demanding harsh words, I'm like, ooh, Emma, that looks great. Okay, I see what you did here. All right. Now, because I've approached it in this way, that really exudes value. I am building her up. You know what Emma does? Not only does she complete the task, but she deeply engages the task. Now, what do I mean by deeply engaging? Well, Emma will come back to me and say, hey, mom, come look at what I've done. And as I'm looking at what she's done, she begins to explain to me why she's done it the way that she's did it, right? And I'm saying, oh, wow, this is interesting, or this is great. Oh, I like how you think there. The next time she goes to approach the same task, she begins to tinker a little bit with her original plan, or she begins to see I could have done this better. And so that's really an example of what we want those that we influence, those that we manage, those that we lead. We really want them to deeply engage the task. We don't just want them to complete the task, but we want them to be able to grow in the tasks that they have been given, okay? Even in scripture, we see all as a pattern, seeing potential and seeing possibility before it actually manifests. Gideon is called a mighty warrior before he ever fights. Come on, somebody. He's called what he should be, what he will be, before we actually see him manifesting that warrior strength. Okay, Jesus, we often see in scripture, he sees fishermen, right? He sees fishermen as future apostles. All therefore is the ability to name potential before it manifests. And when adults face stress, a challenge, or responsibility, they must believe that the temporary wait will produce something worthwhile. Listen, the only reason why I would go through a doctoral program, the only reason why we show up to our 8 to 9 hour, in some cases 12-hour jobs, is because we believe in the check that we're going to get after we commit to those hours, right? There are days that you don't feel like getting up to go to work. There are days that you don't feel like meeting the day, but you believe that if you get up and you exert the energy, you take on the stress, right? You take on the weight of the day, you believe that it's going to be worthwhile. We all have that desire that if I'm going to put myself through this task, if I'm going to complete this assignment, if I'm going to set a goal and I'm going to work towards that goal, I believe that all the hard work and the labor is worthwhile. So leaders, I'm going to put it back on you. Leaders, we must be the ones who invoke the value in the heaviness. Whoo, did I blow your mind? Leaders, we must invoke the value. That's what all is about. We must invoke the value in heaviness. We must demonstrate to those that we influence. I know that it's hard. You've got to find a way to instill commitment and say, hey, I know it's heavy, but it's worth it. To consider Ava DuVernay, who says that she sees people before she sees roles. That's what I call awe. That's leadership. Leaders who operate from awe don't just manage tasks, they magnify potential, okay? So if you get anything out of this video, I want you to understand that your job as a leader is to magnify potential. It is to glorify possibility. Many times we despise small beginnings, but it's our job as leaders to say, no, I don't see this as a task. I see this as the beginning of something great. So as we step in 2026, here is your invitation. Before you act, pause long enough to see. Before you direct, pause long enough to imagine. Before you lead, pause long enough to be moved. Awe is not optional. Awe is foundational, because before a leader can move people, they first must be moved by what those people can become. Woo! We did it. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Leadership Couch. If something stirred you, make you say, please save the video, subscribe, and share this with another leader. This is an exclusive space for leaders. If you know that there's someone out here who needs to be reminded that potential is always present, share this video. And until next time, I want you to lead, and I want you to lead with awe.